sock clothes to share with you today. I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to make each of these items. So to start with, we have this girl. She's got on a sock t-shirt. It's sort of a roundish neck with sleeves there, and it's got this curly hem. I love that curly hem. These are little socks I got from Primark. They're baby socks, and they fit as t-shirts and skirts on the Barbies pretty well. So that's that one. Then we have DJ. DJ's wearing a dress. It can either be worn off the shoulder like so, or on the shoulder. It's up to you. Fits her really well, doesn't it? That sock is nearly the perfect size for her. So that's that one. Then we have Tamara in her lovely dress. I really like this one, and it really does suit her, and I think it doesn't really even look like a sock dress. I've used the bottom of the sock as the hem. I've sewn on a little bit of ribbon here. I'm going to go through each one and show you how I've done it. So that's that one. That's Tamara. Then we have Dima. I've called her Dima because she was sent to me by Dexter, Maine, and I couldn't really call her Dexter. I didn't want to call her DM, so I thought I'm going to call her Dima because that's the first two letters of Dexter and the first two letters of Maine, and I thought it really suited her actually. So here, Dexter is Dima. Dima has on a t-shirt which is a halter neck, and she has on a skirt which can be longer or shorter. It's entirely up to you. You just move it up and down as you want it, but we're going to go through. And then finally we have one of my newest fashionistas, and she's wearing a little cosy. This was made after I'd made this t-shirt on this girl. I had this sort of shape left, and I thought, oh, do you know, that'd make a good cosy, and that's why she's ended up being in our lineup today. So let's get started with how to make them. We're going to start with DJ's dress. It's the pink and white striped one. None of these girls want to stand up. It's a pink and white striped off the shoulder or on the shoulder dress. This is the sock that I used. Now the first thing you need to do is turn your sock inside out. Find the heel at the back and sew across the heel. You need a straight line from one side to the other. Make sure you go right from the point of the heel. See where it comes right down to a point there, to the point the other side. See where it ends just there, and sew straight across there. That can either be done by hand or it can be done on your sewing machine. So I've sewn straight across here, right from one point to the other point, and now I'm going to cut off the extra material there. And then if we turn it back through to the right way, we just have a seam there at the back rather than a heel sticking out in the back of our sock. So this is going to be the front of your sock. The next thing we need to do is cut off the toe. Don't cut it right off, just cut it off sort of just the tip of the toe like this, and leave yourself just a little bit to turn over, and then turn that over and stitch all the way around there. That again can be done by hand or on your sewing machine. Make sure you stretch as you stitch, then it won't break when you stretch it to put on your doll. So let's do that. So if you're not a big fan of stitching, you don't even have to stitch that. Just bear in mind that it will run because it's knitted. Socks are made in a knitted material. So let's try this on without the sleeves in first, so you can see what it looks like, because the sleeves are optional. You don't have to have the sleeves on it. So we've got three options for this dress. You can have it like this, just a tube dress, which looks absolutely fine if that's what you want. You can have it as a tube skirt, again, looks fine. Or you can have it as a top. By what I did to turn it into a top is simply to fold it in half and tuck one half under the other. It just makes it a double layered top then. So that really is a three-way thing, isn't it? If you wanted to, from there you could add straps to make it into a t-shirt, or you could add straps on it to make it into a long dress. You could turn it the other way up. So that you have the frill around the top. It's entirely up to you. You know, there's quite a few possibilities with that, so decide what you want to do and do it from there. So if you want the frill at the top, keep it that way up to put your sleeves in, or if you want the other one, turn it the other way. I had mine this way, and you can see what I did. I cut two little slits, a little bit from the top. However wide you want your straps to be, that's how far down you need to cut your slit. You can see that I did that. So I fold your sock in half like this. This seam down the front there, you know, that's the middle of the front. And you need to cut two little slits. Don't cut great big ones because they stretch quite a lot when you have cut them. So I might cut mine this way up this time. Last time I did it the other way up. This time I'm going to do it this way up. So I'm going to cut a little tiny slit just in here like this. One this side. And one the other side. And that basically is your dress done. So pop it on her. It can either be on the shoulder or off the shoulder. I really do think that looks effective, but I don't even think it looks like a sock dress, does it? And also what I did then, just to make sure we don't have any fraying, this is optional, but I do it to make sure it doesn't fray. Get my needle and thread and stitch all the way around this armhole here. Just do an overstitch all the way around. And make sure you stretch as you sew, otherwise once you try and put it on your doll it won't stretch wide enough to fit her arm in. And as I say, look, I only cut a tiny little hole and look how big that hole stretches. So that's that dress done. I've cut the two slits at the side, I've stitched all the way around to stop them from fraying. Pop her feet in there, pop it on her. DJ is a curvy girl, and the socks seem to fit her. These baby socks seem to fit her perfectly. And then if you decided you want it a little bit fancier, you could perhaps sew a little bow on the front there. You could sew a little button on the front. You could make her a little ribbon belt. Lots of things you could do to make that look even different again, isn't there? So you could give her a little belt around the middle. And remember that this also can be turned into a skirt by pulling it down and having it around her waist. You can alter the length of your skirt that way. Or it can be made into a t-shirt, just a t-shirt, by folding the bottom underneath. Just tuck it right under so that it's smooth. You don't want it looking all lumpy and bumpy. And if you wanted to permanently turn that into a t-shirt, all you'd have to do would be to cut it off a little bit longer than you wanted and turn up the bottom. So that's a very versatile and easy garment, isn't it, to make for your doll. So that was that one, modelled for us there by DJ. The next dress we have is the one that's on Tamara. She's not going to stand up. They're just not having it today. These dolls aren't. And this was made exactly the same way as this one. But instead of putting any sleeves in, I didn't put any sleeves in at all. All I did was sew a little piece of ribbon to the front and tie it around her neck. That's the only difference. And also, because Tamara is a thinner doll, I did take in a little bit at the back here. So if you want to do that on your doll, put the dress on her inside out. Measure how much you need to take in take it off her, take it in and pop it back on, and hey presto. And this one again can be used either as a dress, a skirt or a top in the same way as this one can. With the ribbon she's got tied around her neck, you could simply tie it around her waist, or you could just tie it in a bow as a decoration down the front there. So that was that one. Very simple to make that one is, and it looks so effective. And also, if you don't like pink and glittery, use a different colour sock. It's as simple as that. You don't have to use the pink and glittery ones. So next we have the skirt, and the skirt is exactly the same as this, there's just no sleeves put in it. And I haven't sewed any ribbon on it for this, so this is exactly the same as this without that piece of ribbon. So it can be pulled up into a dress as well, just exactly the same. If you want to make it a shorter skirt, just pull it up higher underneath her top. Now to make the top, that is different. So I've used the bottom of the sock for the edging of my top. So here we are. We need to cut out the heel altogether. This will form the back of your sock. So we cut out the heel, cut it across the bottom like that. This is the bottom of your top. This is the back of your top. So cut across there like that. Then from the point of the heel, we're going to cut up towards the toe. Just straight up like that. And then cut off the toe like this. So this is a shape that you're left with. You've cut across the heel, then from the heel you cut up to the toe, and then you cut the toe off at the top there. So this is the back of the top. This is one strap and this is going to be the other. So we need to cut down the middle of these straps because this is going to form the V-neck. So cut down, don't cut all the way down, otherwise it'll be too revealing. So just cut almost to the back, but not, you can see I've left it a tiny bit higher than the back is. Then get your sewing machine and sew zigzag. You don't have to do this, this is optional, but I do it so that it doesn't fray. Zigzag all the way around the whole thing, and I did it twice just to be safe. So let's do that. So I've now zigzagged all the way around this edge here, and I've done it twice. You don't have to do that, but that will stop it from fraying and generally going loose and baggy. Also, we're going to need to take it in a little bit at the back, but I'm going to put it on her and measure it and then decide how much to take it in. So slip this one off her. You can see this one I've got rolled up a bit. Let's pull it down so it's not rolled up. It's another fairly simple little top to do really. If you wanted it as a mini skirt, you could just pop it up around her waist and tie it at the back. And we're going to carry on up here, tie it up around her neck. You can see that on the slimmer Barbie there is quite a bit of loose fabric at the top here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and I'm going to sew from the top to a point just there, because it's not too loose around the middle, so I'm going to sew it in that shape from the top down to here. I'll show you before I cut it off. So let's pop that off and do that sewing. Make sure you turn it inside out. Here's the back seam where you're going to sew down, and I'm going to sew from here down to a point just there, because the material is stretchy and because she is thinner at the top than she is at the bottom. If you sew it in that shape just there, that'll fit her perfectly. So let's do that. So here we go. You can see where I've sewn literally across there like that, and I'm just going to cut off the extra fabric so that it's not bulky around her back. Turn it out the right way and pop it back on her. And you can see that fits her at the back perfectly now. There's no gaping up the top here. Let's pull her skirt down again. It's gone right up to the back. Another thing you could do with this top is to turn it upside down. Let's try that. Let's take that skirt off a minute because it's not doing us any favours, is it? So if you wanted to, you could use that top the other way up, like this. Pop it up around her bust and then just tie that in a little knot there as a decoration. Like so. So it's another versatile garment, isn't it? If you want it as a skirt, you could pop it back on her the right way up. And tie this bit around her waist to make a shorter skirt, but we're going to use it as a top. So just pop it on her and tie it around her neck, and there we go. Let's pop her skirt back on. Bear in mind that each garment is 25p, so we can't really complain at that, can we? So that was that one. So the next thing we have is this t-shirt. So let me show you how I made that. I'm going to make it out of a white sock this time, I think. So I'm going to cut across here, cut off the heel and then cut across the front. That will be the bottom of our t-shirt. You can see that to make it straight, you have to cut it sort of at an angle. So this is going to be the top of our t-shirt. I didn't cut anything off here, but I did cut holes into it. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And I need to cut straight across the bottom there, but cutting off the heel. So you can see where the heel is there. I'm going to cut straight across the bottom there, like that. And that forms the bottom of our t-shirt. Now to make the top, you need to make a little hole in the top here for the neck. And how I did that was just make a little tiny hole to start with in the middle at the top, and cut that down to the centre at the front. Cut it in a straight line just to that little bit there. Then cut a little tiny bit each side at the top. Not too much, just a little bit. That's going to form the neck. And then for the sleeves, I did a little cut, a little tiny cut just underneath where that seam is. So one that side and one the other side, just underneath where that little seam is. So that's going to be our t-shirt. The next thing I'm going to do is to sew around the bottom here twice. I'm going to stretch as I sew, and that'll give it this curly edge. I'm then going to sew around the sleeve holes to stop those from fraying. So that one and that one, and I'm going to sew the neck as well. And I'm going to tuck these V-shaped bits in, tuck those in like that, sew across the back as well and tuck that in as you stitch, and stretch as you stitch. So all the way around, you're tucking it in as you sew, and then you'll end up with something like this. So I'm going to go off and do that now, and then I'll come back and show you what I did. So here we are, here's the t-shirt done. So I've zigzagged around the bottom a few times. That's optional, like I say, but if you do that, it'll give it this curly effect, which I quite like. And then I've hand stitched around each armhole, and I've hand stitched around the neck just to turn it over and give it this rounded shape. Tucked in the corners there, look, you can see that the corners are tucked right in, and held that in position. So let's pop that white one on her instead of the pink one. There we go, there she is in her t-shirt. And then what I was left with was this shape. So this is the heel of the sock, and then the back of it, this is where we cut it off to make the top with. And what I've done, I've zigzagged all the way around the edge of that, and I'm going to turn it into this swimming costume. So to do that, I had to take it in at the back quite a bit in the same way as I did before. Broader at the top and coming to a point so that we can accommodate her bottom. And then I've just simply stitched a little bit of ribbon to the top there, and I've stitched a few stitches in the middle there to form the crotch part of the bikini, of the costume bottom. So let's pop it on her, because I wanted to show you a few other things you could do with it too. So if you didn't want it to be a swimming costume, you could have it just as a short dress. Just sew your ribbon onto there and tie it around her neck, and you'll have a little short dress. You could pull it up even further and it'll be another top. Just make sure you take it in at the back here, measure how much you need, pop it off her, and sew in that same style as I did before. Broader at the top down to a point. I'll do that in a second. And if you want it as a cosy, sew your ribbon on there and do a couple of stitches in the middle there to form your swimming costume. So that's what I'm going to do with mine. So the first thing I'm going to do is to sew the back here, and it needs to be sewn quite a bit. It was quite loose, so measure it around so you've got it. Find the middle at the back, and it needs to go similar to that, I think. So that's how I'm going to sew it. So I've sewn across there like that, and I'm just going to cut off the extra material. And I'm just going to sew a few stitches in the middle here. This is the bottom part. This is going to be the legs of her cosy, and this is going to be the crotch part in the middle here. So find the centre and just do a little bit of stitching in the centre there. Just over stitch, you don't need to do much at all. Snip that off, turn it out the right way, find the middle at the front and stitch on a little piece of ribbon just there. So I've got my little piece of ribbon, find the centre of it, stitch that onto the centre at the front. Like that, finish it off at the back. And let's try it on. She's got her shoes on because she refuses to stand up without them on. She keeps slipping down the wall, so she's got to have her shoes on. As I said before, if you don't like the colour of the socks, just buy different socks. So these socks were a size 6 to 12 months. Let's tie up the tie at the back. So there we go. So she's got her little cosy on. Her bracelet's just pinged off, but I'll keep it on because it matches, it's silver. So to recap, we have our costume, we have our t-shirt with a round neck, we have our skirt and tie neck t-shirt, we have our tie neck dress, these girls will not stand up, they're not having it. And finally we have DJ in the sleeved dress. It can either be the cold shoulder or it can be on the shoulder. So I hope that's helpful to someone. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.